So good morning, everybody. Man, they got it on right away this time, huh? So I'm stealing this stand like I always do. And, guys, we're in the middle of this series called Samson. And, kind of before we start. So let me tell you guys, the last 2 days have been, maybe we'll put it softly and we'll call it, the last 2 days have been hell for my family, right? So, you guys who don't know, so last week we talked about anger, and we talked about things that frustrate us and make us prideful, and so we talked about anger last week. And from about Thursday on, I have been angry at home. I've been angry really on Thursday night I got home and my wife was sick. Nothing that she could do about that, right? She didn't go out and go, hey, I feel like getting the flu today. And so she went out and she got sick. But she was. So she got sick. So on Thursday night, she went home and went to bed and left me with a child. Oh, so it's been Friday then. With my child. It's my child, yes. I do have to clarify that. It is my child. But she left me with a child. It was like, you have him. And he was not happy. I mean, he was obviously angry as well. I mean, he was like, hey, this is not one of these good nights for me. You're not going to be able to just let me watch TV and I'm going to hang out and so it kind of started going downhill at that point. And but I got for me, I'm really good with kids, is that I kind of know what to make them happy with, right? And so I took them to the refrigerator, and I was like, hey, let's have some pudding, and so I know it's 11:30 at night, but here's some pudding, or here's this, and, so I started feeding him sweets. But it worked. He was happy, and he was like, I'll leave you alone for a while now. And he laid down, he went to sleep, and but my anger just kept going and going and going. Even when I was trying to work on the message, and I was like, man, I couldn't focus on what I was trying to get done. I was really, guys, I really needed to spend some time in it. I haven't spent a lot of time into this message, and I was like, I really got to spend. So at midnight, I open it up, and I start, I get my Bible out, and I start reading, and I closed it, and I go, I'm just not in the right mindset to do this. And I just was not ready to do it. So Saturday goes along. And I go to men's breakfast, which was awesome. I got to talk with two guys, and him and I just, or the two of us just had an opportunity to just go, hey, this is what's going on, this is what's going on. We had an opportunity to vent with one another. So I'm kind of envious of the women's group because my group had 2 dudes, and they had 9, I think, this last week. So, guys, I really need some help. And I look around, and there's not a whole lot of guys in here. And I go, and we're in the middle of this men's series, but guys, I need help. So, but after that, it was really great. I had this opportunity. We just got to talk, and all of a sudden, it was 1 o'clock. We were just talking and talking and talking, and all of a sudden, you just look and you go, man, I couldn't believe we could talk about that much stuff. But then from there, I ended up at my in-laws' house, and, we were there for a while. And guys, all these things, we just look at them and go, our time is gone, right? We look at it and everybody in here goes, I don't have any time. I don't have it. So when I was working on this message? This morning. I got up this morning, and about 4 o'clock this morning, I was working on it. And I went back to sleep, and then I woke up to my wife. And but guys, I finally got in the right mindset for us to really dive back into this and really talk about Samson. Samson was this guy he was incredibly strong. This guy he can do anything. The guy, what he's showing in this picture right now, he's got half of a jaw of a donkey. And how he got that is he ripped it out of its mouth. He literally ripped it out of the donkey's mouth, and then he went and killed 1,000 people with it. So this guy is incredibly strong. The problem is he's got an incredibly weak will. He has just no control of his actions, or the actions that he does. He's just completely, it's all about me. And we talked about it in week 1, right? And there's not a lot of guys in here. So the ones that are here, you're going to have to be loud with me. So week 1, he says, I want it. right? I want it. It's mine. Why am I having to wait for this? I want it. The reason why he feels that way is he looks at it and goes, I deserve this. I earned it. It's mine. I worked hard for this. And then he goes, I can handle it. I can handle what's going to come. I can handle what's going to go on. You know, and Samson kind of shows us is that he doesn't handle things very well. That's why we talked about last week, is that he does not handle what happened very well. When things go wrong, he gets angry. And his anger leads him into pride. And this pride turns him into this person that nobody wants to be around. He thinks that he knows everything. He thinks that he can fool people. He thinks that he can do whatever it is he wants to do and just get away with it. So to me, that sounds a lot like me. And it sounds a lot like the guys that I hang out with or the guys I talk to. We think that I can handle that. I can get away with that. You know what? I can do this. I can add more and more and more to my time. I can add more and more and more to my plate. I can do everything. There's no margin. There's no time to do anything other than what I want to do. Forget what my family wants. Forget wanting to take care of kids. Forget wanting to go to Chuck E. Cheese with the kids or for any of that stuff. It's all about what I want to do. Anybody got any guys at home like that? Anybody? Anybody? It's okay. If he's sitting next to you, you can raise your hand. Don't worry about it. If I'm standing up front, I got a guy at home like that. His name's Michael, because he wants everything his way too. You know, guys, it's okay. We're going to talk about it. And we talk about how he's just emotionally driven. He's not spirit-led, just pure emotions. Everything forces him. So, let's dive into today. Today is how our small steps lead us into this big destruction, right? So, just by show of hands, how many of you guys know kind of the story of Samson? After we talked, anybody went home and read Judges or any of that stuff? Anybody know the story of Samson? Okay, so that's good. So now, let's really talk about what happened here. So let's go in and Judges 15, 19 through 20, and it goes, Then God opened up the hollow place in Lehi, and the water came out of it. And when Samson drank, strength returned, and he revived. So the spring was called Enhankor. And it's still there in Lehi. Samson led Israel for 20 years in the day of the Philistines. Okay, so now, Judges 15, Samson's doing some positive things. He's doing some things that are good. 20 years of prosperity in this area. 20 years. It's pretty good, right? That's a good track record. You know, most of us, we spend 20 years getting in trouble. Samson did pretty good. He's done his little trouble, he's gotten his issues, and now he's doing 20 years. But there's problems that come up. There's things that happen. There's things that go on, and you look at it and you go, Samson had a lot of baggage. He just had a lot of stuff that was in his background. And then you look and you go, what is he doing? What is he going to do, and how is he going to... what he tried to do is he tried to ignore it, and he tried to cover it up instead of dealing with it. And that's what us guys do. Us guys, when we get into trouble, what we do is we go, we'll spill something on the floor, and instead of actually going to get a napkin or something like that, what we do is we go, oh, just cover that up like that. And there you go. Somebody will get that for me later. That's what they do, right? I mean, it's kind of like kids at home. You go clean your room, and what they do is they shove everything in the closet. And they go, oh, I'm not going to open the closet? And you walk in there, it's like an avalanche, falls out. Guys, it's the same thing that he did. He just tried to ignore it and cover it up, thinking that nobody was ever going to come in and go, hey, we're going to open the door, thinking that it wasn't going to bubble up one day, or thinking that it wasn't ever going to come back to haunt him again. Because really, it does. It comes back to haunt him. Because those things he just kind of repeats. So you go, so at the end of this story, anybody know where he ends up at? He ends up with his eyes gouged out, right? Anybody knows that? I mean, his eyes get gouged out. He's a laughing stock. And how does he go from a hero to a zero? Right? How does that happen? What goes on? And the first thing is Samson did not ruin his life all at once. He ruined it one step at a time. He did not ruin it all at once. He ruined it one step at a time. That's how we all do it. It's exactly how it happens. Trust me, most of us can survive with a high car payment. The problem is we end up with a high car payment, and then a high house payment, and then 5 credit cards that are all maxed out, and then we end up with student loans, and we end up with this month and this month, and all of a sudden we're in financial trouble. It doesn't start with just the one. It takes the whole compound. It takes everything to kind of roll it into it. One day, Samson went down to Gaza, and this is Judges 16, 1 and 2. Let me get back into there. And he goes, and where he saw a prostitute. All right. So let's go back to a couple weeks ago. Samson went down, and he ran into a hot Philistine woman, right? Remember this? This is where it led into. So now, here he is. He's back in this relationship, and he goes out again. And now, I want to tell you is that Gaza is 25 miles away from where he lives at. So it's not an easy trek. It is a travel. 25 miles in sandals that you made yourself is not going to be good. And it doesn't say Samson was a tailor. So he wasn't a leather worker. Okay, he didn't do that stuff. This guy, he ripped donkey jaws apart. He was not skilled at that. And so when he traveled, when he's going 25 miles, it's a trek. And it says he went to spend the night with her. All right, come on, dude. You've already learned once. Let's figure this out. The people of Gaza were told Samson is here. He's here right now. He's in that house over there. And they've been waiting for him. They'd be like, hey, well, there's an opportunity. So they surrounded the place. And they laid in wait for him all night at the city gate. They made no move during the night, saying, at dawn, we will kill him. Anybody else know a time where sometimes we've gone out of our way, and it happens, the Bible is full of these stories over and over and over again. A guy named David, who goes off and he does the same. He's up on the roof of his house, and he looks across and he goes, oh, she is beautiful. I want that. I need that. I'm king. I deserve that. And then all of a sudden it leads into this vicious cycle where he has to have another man killed, and then all of a sudden, over and over again, and we see what we do all the time. And it's us men. You don't hear about these. It's always us men. We think, oh, I can handle it. No. We can't. So, Gaza is the Philistine headquarters. In case you guys didn't know. This is where the Philistines are. This is where their army is. This is where they hang out. This is their place. This is where they do everything. Samson is public enemy number one. They want him. They've been waiting, and he's like, I'm as strong as they get. Dude, you're not going to do anything to me. I will come into your village. I will sleep with your prostitutes. I will do whatever I want, and you're not going to do anything. That's how us guys are. I'll do what I want. What are you going to do? What are you going to do to stop it? What are you going to do to stop me from doing that? Well, these guys got kind of smart. They really did. They sat down and they said, oh, okay. So again, I said Gaza is 25 miles away from his home in Zorab. And the problem is that he's just so stupid to risk it for a quick hit. That's really what it comes down to. He's so stupid to risk it for something that, maybe it was 2 minutes worth for him. Maybe. You never know. Maybe he's a 30-second dude. You don't know. You don't know, but the problem is that he was willing to risk everything for almost nothing. Countless men do it all the time, right? All the time. Think about it. This guy went 25 miles, and I'm going to help you help this with these sandals on. It's 56,000 steps. 56,000. Sexual addiction, maybe? Bankruptcy? An affair? These are all things that we almost have to go out of our way to get into. You don't just magically hop into an affair. Oh, I fell. Hi there. It doesn't work that way. You don't all of a sudden end up in bankruptcy. Nope. You did some things to get there. Guys, when you look at it, if you want to get into sexual addiction, it's because at 13 years old, you found a stash of Playboys. And you were like, oh, time to hide these bad boys. And that's where it started at. and you started to sexualize women at 13 years old. And if you're a woman, you started to sexualize men, or maybe women at 13 years old. You started to go, and that's what I need to be, and that's how I need to look, and that's how I need to have these or that, and it creates confidence issues and things that we are going to deal with for the rest of our life because of something we did in our past, and we're not willing to deal with it now. We're just not willing to deal with it. We're like, oh, no, I can handle it. I don't need anybody else. I got it all on my own. Samson's small steps towards this big destruction. Samson taunted his enemy. But Samson laid down only until the middle of the night. Then he got up and he took hold of the doors of the city gate. Together with the two posts and tore them loose, bar and all. He lifted them to his shoulders and carried them to the top of the hill that faces Haran. Judges 16:3. Get out. This is the main entrance to Gaza. That's number one. Number two is the doors that were hanging there were 700 pounds each. So if that gives you any idea how strong this dude was, he picked up 1,400 pounds and carried it to the top of a hill. He just said, yep, I can do that. And there's nothing that you're going to do to stop me. He taunted them. He knew that they were there. He was like, what are you going to do? As men, we underestimate our enemy all of the time. We always underestimate our enemy. We continue time and time and time again that we think we are the lion and we can devour them. We think that we're in charge. You know what? We're not. Because I'll tell you what, you come in contact with a lion. I've been in contact with a lion. And I stood on the other side of chain link fence and I thought, this is too close. And that was through chain link fence. And I was serious. I said, this is too close. I am not willing to get any closer. And they told me, don't get any closer because he will pull you into that cage. Oh, that's all I needed, man. Thanks. And there was people around that were like, I want to feed him some milk. Didn't you just hear what he said? It will pull you into the cage. It may not eat you. It may use you as a toy. I would rather be eaten than used as a toy, right? I mean, well, wait a minute here. No. I would rather it just be ended over fast. Most of us guys, the problem is we think that our problems are like a three-legged cat instead of this big lion. We get this cat, it walks by, and you go, oh, you can't even jump up onto the couch. You just kick it over. Bow. Lay there for a while. That's how we get. That's how we are with our problems. That's how we are, and we think that we can just taunt them. Or we think we can get away from it. And we think we can sweep it underneath the rug for a while. You know, you go out and you go, hey, you know what? You make plans with your buddy to go to the bar, and you go, hey, by the way, honey, you stayed home. You go to the bar, you get all partied out. You look at an internet site. Maybe you smoke a bunch of weed. I don't know. What is it that you think you can handle that maybe you really can't handle? What is it that's going to escalate to the next level? What is it that's going to take it? So if you're at the bar and maybe you're a little intoxicated, that all of a sudden you're not dancing with somebody else's woman while your woman's at home. Or that you're on the internet and you all of a sudden spend an awful lot of time on some site that you shouldn't be at. Or you smoke weed and it leads into the next drug, which leads into the next drug, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in rehab and you're going, what happened here? If you're lucky. Maybe you don't end up lucky, and maybe you end up dead. Because it always escalates to the next level. It always escalates to the next level. It's just a matter of when. 1 Corinthians 10:12. So you think you are standing firm. Be careful that you don't fall. You think that you're standing firm. You think that everything's going great. You think that it's underneath the carpet, nobody can see it. But watch out, because here it comes. Because here it comes. Because when you think that you're standing firm, it's when the carpet gets yanked right from underneath your feet. Samson rationalized the same old sin. Sometime later, he fell in love with a woman in the valley of Sorek whose name was Delilah. Hey there, Delilah. Judges 16:4. Del, by the way, Del, in case you want to know, start getting some translation here, just D-E-L. Someone to love tonight. That's what Del stands for. Someone to love tonight. No big deal. He was just looking. Wasn't going to hurt anybody. But didn't think it was, he was like, this is nobody else's business. Just me. I want it. I deserve it. Look what I just did. I carried these 1,400-pound gates. I got it all the way up to the top of the hill. I can do whatever I want. Anybody know that person? Anybody know him? The rulers of the Philistines went to Delilah and said, see if you can lure him into showing you the secret of his great strength and how we can overpower him so we may tie him up and subdue him. And you really get into, you get into that's Judges 16:15 or 16:5, and then you can go through Judges 16, 6 through 14, and it talks about 7 fresh new straps. It talks about new ropes. It talks about the 7 braids of hair and the fabric, and he talks, really all these different ththings. But really when it gets important is that in 15, and then she told him, how can you say I love you? So women, listen here, because this is what some of you guys do sometimes. How can you say I love you when you won't confide in me? This is the 3rd time you have made a fool of me. You haven't told me the secret of your great strength. This is the last time we're going to argue in the middle of this restaurant. Right? Maybe. Why are we arguing in this car? Everybody sees us. Or maybe it's on the way to church. And then you get to church and you put on a happy face, right? You're like, wait a minute. Church faces. With such nagging, you hear that, right? With such nagging, she prodded him day after day until he was tired to death. Day after day until he was tired to death. It was literally, please, just kill me. I will tell you, shut your mouth. I don't care. That's what he was like. That's what it says. I don't make this stuff up. Come on, that's what the Bible says. She nagged him until he wanted to kill himself, is really what it was. The guy is strong enough to kill 1,000 men, pick up 700-pound doors, but he can't lead a woman to save his life. He can't make good decisions. He cannot lead his household. Us guys have that same problem where we cannot lead our houses. We are so far away from God, so far away from the Bible, so far away from doing what God has called us to do that our families look at us and they go, would I ever do any of this if you're not willing to do half of it? We do not know how to lead our families. Lead by example. Do what you want your family to do. You want your wife to watch all kinds of internet porn? You want your girlfriend to do it? You want your kids to do it? Then start doing it at home. Because I promise you, your kids will be doing it before you know it. So if you've got a 2-year-old at home like I do, you better put some safeguards on the internet if you're doing it. Have a password and continue to delete your browsing history because you're scared your wife is going to find out. Who wants to live in that fear? Who wants that? Who wants to live in the fear when you go out that you got to look over your shoulder all the time about who's going to be there and who's not going to be there and what you're doing and what you're doing wrong? Why would you want that? That is unacceptable to live in that lifestyle. You have somebody at home who wants to love you, who wants to take care of you. Lead that person and show them that you want to love them. That's what we forget to do. Every time we go, oh, my wife doesn't respect me. You can go to a simple chapter in Ephesians. In Ephesians, it tells us, husbands, love your wife as Christ loved the church. Are you willing to die for the woman that you got your arm around? Are you willing to die for the woman that lives with you? Because that's what he did. And until you're willing to do that, then don't ever expect her to respect you. Because you do not show that that's what you're supposed to do. Don't ever expect respect until you can show the person that you are with that you want to love them, that you want to take care of them, that you want to provide for them. And it doesn't mean income. It means that you want to emotionally support them because they don't care about the money. They don't care about that. We care about that. We care about the big screen TV, and we care about the nice stereo, and we care about the leather couch. They don't care if it's a futon with a 13-inch little black and white TV. They do. That's us. Put that away and learn to love. Let me get back into this now. And he comes out and he goes, so he told her everything. No razor has ever been used to my head. He said, because I have been a Nazarite. Now, remember we talked about that a little bit. Set apart to God since birth. If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me, and I would become as weak as any other man. Somebody takes your pocketbook away from you. Are you as weak as everybody else? Somebody takes away your TV from you. Somebody takes away your car. Somebody takes away what you hold so dear. Are you as weak as everybody else? Or do you stand firm on God's word, knowing that he will provide for you, he will take care of you, and he will continue to provide for you as long as you stay faithful? Or you're like, I'm not faithful because I don't have this TV, or I'm not faithful because I don't have the job I want, or I'm not faithful because I don't have the car I want, or I'm not faithful for this or that, whatever it is. What is stopping you? What is it? Because there is something right now. There is something right now that stops us, that prevents us from being the men that we're supposed to be. What is it? What is it that prevents you? And it's not something I'm going to answer. It's something you have to answer. And it's each and every person in here. It's not just guys. It is not just guys. The women in here have stuff that stops them from being the women that God wants them to be. What is it? Security, emotional security. What is it that stops you? Where your heart is. Where your heart is. What is it that stops you? Because it's not with God. You are not with God right now. Because that's what stops us. Because if we were with God, it'd be like, man, everything's great. A day with him is better than a day with everything else. Samson assumed his disobedience would never cost him. Having put him to sleep on her lap, she called a man in to shave the braids of his hair off, and she began to subdue him, and his strength left him. Then she called Samson, the Philistines are upon you, and he awoke from his sleep and thought, I'll go out before and shake myself free. But he did not know that the Lord had left him. You know, guys, how many of us are that way? We think he's with us. But these things that we keep doing, stepping up and up and up and up, and we just keep piling up, and all of a sudden, we expect God to be with us, and he's not there, and you look at it and go, your disobedience is going to cost you at some point. It's going to cost you. That's how it is. Disobedience costs us. Where are you disobedient at? Where is it at? Is it pride? Is it what? Are you failing to realize that God's going to take care of you? What is it? What is it? Then the Philistines seized him and gouged out his eyes and took him down to Gaza. Binding him in bronze shackles, they set him to grinding in the prison. Samson did not ruin his life all at once. He ruined it one step at a time. It didn't happen immediately. It happened one step at a time. As surely as he walked the 56,000 steps, the whole time as he was thinking, I'm going to get some today because I want it, I deserve it, and I can handle it. And as we continue to do things, we continue to think, I want that. I want that woman. I want that car. I want that house. I want this. I want that. I deserve this. I earned it. I work hard for it. No, 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 no. That's not how it works. And God tells us that. He tells us over and over again, what you deserve, He will provide for you. What you deserve, He will provide. The needs that you have, He will provide. Stop thinking you can do it on your own, because it doesn't work. Ask people who continue to try and do it on their own, and they will tell you is that I know it doesn't work. I can sustain. I can be like a water skier, right, on the top of this water, and I can tread. But if I stop moving, I'm sinking. And all of a sudden, I'm looking underneath the water, I'm going, God, help! And we call out. And then we follow for a while, and we get to where we're back to treading water. But when we stop moving, and we stop coming to church, and we stop doing what God asked us to do, all of a sudden, we sink again. And it's this cycle that we fight over and over and over again, just like Samson fought, over and over and over again. We go back to our sin. The Israelites did it over and over and over again. They get out of slavery. We can do it. I want this. I want that. I need this. Oh, but I don't need God. Back to slavery you go. You would fix your ways really fast if you knew that I was going into slavery tonight if I stopped following God. Your ways would change dramatically. You'd be like, oh, whatever you want, God, here you go. Here's my keys to the car. Here's my cell phone. Here's my pocketbook. I'm not going into slavery. You just wouldn't do it. Where are you stepping away from God? Is it an undisciplined life? Are you not spending time with God? Are you not spending time with the Bible? Are you not spending time in prayer? Are you angry all the time? Are you full of pride, lust, greed? Do you have a gambling addiction? Are you passive all the time? Oh, yeah, whatever. Just roll over me. I like it. Cool. Are you a workaholic? Do you lie about everything? Your hair is long, and your heart is drifting. That is what's going on right now. All these things are going, your hair is long, but your heart is drifting away. Little by little by little, each and every day, it's drifting. And you just don't notice it, because you're on step 40,000 on your way to 56,000. And I tell you, it will come, because you'll get to 56,000 at some point. And then you'll be laying there and going, what did I do? And why did I do it? You're only as strong as you are honest. You're only as strong as you are honest. And I'm not saying to go out and just start becoming honest, this honest Abe. You guys have seen the Geico commercial. Does this dress make me look fat? What I'm saying, you better become honest with yourself real fast. You better become honest with yourself and stop going, I need it, I deserve it, and I can handle it. Because I'm telling you right now, when you get to step 56,000, or maybe it's step 5,000 for you, or maybe it's step 10, it's going to fall apart and your world is going to crumble. And your head's going to end up shaved, and your eyes are going to be gouged out. Nobody's going to show up and be like, here, I got this poker. We're taking those bad boys out right now. But spiritually, it'll happen. Spiritually, you'll just continue to be blind. Spiritually, you'll continue to live this life that you just don't know where you're going, where you're heading. And chances are, when it's all said and done, you're going to be in a place that nobody really wants you to be at, including God himself. God does not want anybody to go to hell. He doesn't. That's why we're here, and each and every one of us are called to go make disciples, because he doesn't want anybody to go to hell. But he's told us that some people are going to hell. Don't come to church on Sundays and be this Christian on Sundays, and then on Mondays, you're back to your heathen ways. Stop lying to yourself. Commit yourself. Give. Give yourself to God. Open your eyes up before they get gouged out. Because that's what's going to happen. You know, I tell you guys, is that as we... Try to go to the next page. You know, as we think about this, is that it doesn't matter where we're at on the road right now. We can always turn around. God offers us opportunities. Judges 16:22, he tells us, but the hair on his head began to grow again after it had been shaved. Just because he was down doesn't mean he's out. Do you have the courage to turn around? Do you have the courage to turn around right now and go, you know what? I am tired of living the way that I have been living. I'm tired of living for me and nobody else. And not for the people in my household, not for the kids in my household, not by leading by example. I want them to follow the Bible. Well, I should be reading the Bible myself. I want them to do that. I should be doing it. Whatever I want them to do, I need to do it first. I want my wife to clean my house. Well, I better get off my ass and go clean it. That's as honest as it gets. If you want it done, you better start showing that you can do it. You know, we talk about it when you're at work. You know, as a manager, I worked in retail, and they go, do not ever assign an assignment to somebody that you are not willing to do yourself. If you're not willing to do it, then don't do it. Don't give it to somebody else. What are you doing right now? And you're going, you do this. I'll catch up in the next time. You do it. Maybe it's counseling. Maybe whatever it is. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But whatever you want to start seeing happen in your house, whatever you want to start seeing happen at work, whatever you want to start seeing happen around you, lead. Be a leader. It doesn't matter what you've been doing. Turn around and become the leader that you need to be. Become the leader of your house. Become the leader at your job. Become the leader at your family. Become the leader here. Show other people. Show other people what it means to lead. Bring people to Christ. Bring people to church, just like God has called you to do. And I'm not talking about just the seats here. Yeah, it would be great to have every seat in here full. But there is churches across America that are empty. They are failing. They are dying because us as Christians don't do what God has asked us to do. Over and over and over again, we don't do the simple task of going, I don't want my friends to go to hell, so I'm going to invite them to church. Because that's literally what you tell your friends. When you don't invite them, when you don't talk to them, you go, you know what? Go to hell. That's how you feel about them. I want to see you burn. I'm going to enjoy it while I'm in heaven. It's a mean way to look at it, huh? I should be done. Guys, I ask, make the U-turn now. Do it while you can. Do it right this moment. Do it today. Stop going down the road that you've been going down. Stop continuing to do what you've been doing. Turn around. Commit to Christ. Commit to a relationship. Commit to doing what God has asked you to do. It's not hard. Ask. Let's close in prayer. Father, thank you so much. Thank you so much for this story and this opportunity to learn. Maybe it's a hard way, and maybe there's always a way to come back to you, though. There's always a way to turn around. There's always a way that no matter what we do, no matter even if we do the same sin over and over and over again, we chase after the same thing. We think that we deserve everything. We think we know it. We think everything. God, you tell us, just turn around. And like with Samson, his hair started to grow back. God, give us the courage. Allow our feelings to grow back. Allow our emotions to grow back. Allow our hearts to grow back. And allow us to pursue you with all of them. Allow us to put you first. Allow us to just run to you like a child with our arms stretched out. God, help us, guide us, and deliver us. And all this we pray in your Son's name. Amen.